Good morning. I will. There we go. Good morning, Carol. Good morning. I call this meeting of Tuesday, March 28th of the Legislative and Human Resource Committee to order. First item on our agenda is public comment. If there's anyone here that wishes to address the board, please do so, and please limit your speaking to 30 seconds.
30 seconds? That is not enough time. How you doing, everybody? My name is DeAndre Jones. I stay at 967 Tamarack Avenue, Northwest Grand Rapids, Michigan, 49504. I'm here because I just love to speak, and I love coming to King County Commission, and I was actually about to go to City Commission, but luckily the Legislative and Human Resources meeting was right before the City of the Whole, so now I get the double whammy. It's great. But no, I'm just really excited to be here. And yesterday I attended the Economic Club event, and I got to listen to the president of Grand Valley State University speak, the CEO of Steelcase speak, and the CEO of Steelcase actually spoke about gaming. I mean, not gaming, but she spoke about chairs. And then you guys know me, I get up, ask a question about esports and gaming, and now I connected with Steelcase, and the person who handles sponsorships actually walked up to me and said that they actually have a gaming unit. And the person who actually was the CEO before, the woman who was the CEO now of Steelcase, ended up walking up to me and letting me know, hey, we should do the gaming clubs for Amway and all of these other organizations. That'd be pretty cool. Probably put that out to the universe, see what happens. But I'm pretty excited because I got to connect with Grand Valley State University's president. That was the second time I got to connect with her, and she actually told me that she was the person who started the esports club there at Grand Valley State, which has 500 students. And then the table that I actually sat with the person from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, which handles the largest and works with the largest corporations across the state of Michigan. So I know the level of business that I'm going to be at one day. When I say I was going to be the largest, one of the biggest and best equitable companies across the world last commission, I really said that. And then look what happens next time when I sit down. Karma works and the universe works in mysterious ways. I swear it does. But I'm just really excited to chase my dream to give back to the community, to create a pipeline for students in education and gaming and esports, and being able to reduce the people that actually goes to our criminal justice system or doesn't go back to the criminal justice system. I really believe in my vision. Before I walked in here, I connected with the director of public works for the city, and it was pretty cool to speak to him because I was supposed to follow through with him. I usually follow through with everybody, but I'll make sure I follow through with him because I want to make sure that people truly reduce the violence on our streets, and making sure that people take care of our streets and take care of our community. And I really love to educate people on renewable energy, recycling, why those things are cool, why those things are innovative, and why I truly care about renewable, sustainable energy. So I'm just truly glad to be here, glad to speak to you guys, glad that I never gave up on my vision and stayed persistent and show up everywhere and anywhere and speak to anybody and keep pursuing my vision with 100% intensity, passion, and everything that I have all day, every day. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, DeAndre. All right, is there anyone else in the public that would like to address the board? All right, seeing no one, we will move on to our last meeting's minutes. Do I have a motion and support to approve last meeting's minutes? By LeGrand. Support by, I saw Hennessy's hand, so I heard a voice, and support by Hennessy. Any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Last meeting's minutes have been approved. Human Resources, Amy Rolston is here to do the performance measurement review. Amy?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, great. Well, thank you for allowing me to be here to present the annual performance measurement review for the HR department. This presentation will follow the standard protocol that is expected and outlined in this slide. We have 17 people in HR, many of whom are here today. 15 of them are full-time employees, 2 are part-time, and we provide service in areas including compensation and benefits, HR information, recruitment and employment, learning and development, labor relations and employee relations, and retirement services. The work that we provide in HR most closely aligns with the ability that the board prioritizes to make sure that we can provide quality services to residents. We provide the systems that departments use to recruit and retain staff that provide those services. We have 4 strategic goals in HR. The first is to make sure that we're continuously improving in order to provide services as efficiently and effectively as possible. The second is to make sure that pay and benefit programs are sustainable and competitive with market. The third is to make sure that we have good systems in place that allow us to successfully recruit top talent. And the fourth is to make sure that the systems we have in HR perpetuate and reward behaviors that are consistent with the culture that we want to have here at Kent County. Okay. Next, I'll touch on a few key metrics. The first, and probably one of the most important ones to us right now, is voluntary turnover. We have seen an increase in voluntary turnover the last few years that I would largely attribute to the intensely historically competitive labor market that we're in. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, some of the factors that are underlying that labor market, and also some of the reasons why in this competitive market people choose to come to work for us, why they choose to leave, and also some of the things that we're doing to improve our ability to recruit and attract and retain talent. Okay. All right. So a couple of slides on the current state of the labor market. Probably no surprise to anybody. Over the past 5 years, 4 of those 5 years, we've been in a deficit situation for talent, where there have been more employers looking for people than there have been people looking for work. At this point, for every employer there is looking to hire somebody, there is 1 person looking for a job for every 2 postings. So we are in an intensely competitive situation. There are a couple of long-term trends that I'd like to highlight that are contributing to that. These are structural things that are going to take a long time to resolve. The first is fertility rates. In order for us to even keep even with the number of people who are leaving the labor market, on average, every woman would have to have 2.1 kids. We haven't met that level of fertility since the 1970s. So that is creating a structural situation where there aren't enough babies being born to meet the needs in the labor market. The other structural deficit that I didn't include in this, but it's important, is the labor force participation rate. Over the past 20 years, we've seen about a 5% decline in the labor force participation rate. That's millions of people who just checked out of labor force. Yeah. Probably didn't expect me to anticipate people have more, ask for people to have more babies. I'm seeing some. Hopefully you don't ask me any questions about that, but okay, continuing on. So we're in a competitive labor market into the foreseeable future. That's going to be the situation we're in. We're in a war for talent. So it's important, I think, that we look at what do we have to offer uniquely what is our value proposition? Why are people coming to work here? They certainly have a lot of options for where they want to come work. There are 3 basic trends that we identified. We've been asking new hires for the past 3 years why they chose us. Here's what they're saying. The first is unique role opportunity. Usually what that means is the type of work that we're looking to hire when we recruit for any particular role is a good fit with the type of work that somebody is looking to do in their career. The second trend that we're identifying is like intangible things. The fact that we have a great solid reputation as being a good employer in our community, and we have for years. That is a powerful force in attracting talent. Another intangible is the fact that most of the people, if not all of the people that come to work here, they do so because they want to make a difference in their local community, and we can offer that to people. A lot of other employers can't. The third thing that we're noticing as a trend is just the bread and butter stuff, right? Wages, benefits, particularly as inflation starts to eat into people's ability to make ends meet. Those things are becoming more important than they ever have been. So a lot of people, that's a factor, and we meet their needs, and they decided to come work for us for that reason. I also wanted to highlight the pension. I know it's controversial and people have strong opinions about it, but of the people who filled out this survey, and there are more than 200 of them over the last 3 years, 40% of them said the pension was a significant contributing factor to their decision to come work here. Okay? So we have been more intentional about in our advertising efforts, our outreach efforts, our communication efforts, making sure that we're mindful of the reasons why people are coming to work for us, and making sure that we incorporate those things in the communications that we have for people who might potentially want to consider us as an employer. I'll talk more about that later. Shoot, I'm running out of time. I'm going to have to be pretty quick here. So we also ask people why they're leaving the county. One big thing I wanted to highlight here is flexibility work-life balance. We've been asking this question since about 2017. That was never on the radar until the last few years, so we have done some things to improve that. So the pension, it's funded, it's fully funded, it's sustainable. We use conservative actuarial assumptions. It is a benefit that we can continue to offer in a way that is affordable. Employees pay half the cost for it. So, and 40% of people list that as a reason why they come. Culture, about 90% of people on balance see our culture as being experienced in the same way that we say it should be. So our values, the 6 C's, people are telling us in surveys that that's how they experience the culture in a consistent way. The last part of the presentation that I'm going to talk about is our accomplishments over the course of 2022 and 2023 and the work that we have ahead of us. And I wanted to highlight how incredible our HR staff is. We hired 2 new people this year. Even in spite of that, we are still more efficient in terms of how we provide services than the benchmark that is provided by the Society for Human Resources Management. And it blows me away how much the HR team has been able to accomplish and how much we have on our plate for the coming year. So thank you to the team. Yeah. All right, so 2022 and a little bit of 2023 accomplishments. Last year we beta tested a new leadership development program that we plan to roll out in May. We negotiated 3 union contracts last year. We plan to negotiate the remaining 6 over the course of this coming year. We instituted several measures to improve our ability to recruit staff, including implementing a new employee referral bonus, and also in our 2 largest unions, we implemented letters of understanding that give us more flexibility to hire more experienced staff higher in the pay scale. Those things happened in November. We also implemented additional outreach efforts, including our first ever advertising campaign. We partnered with Lori Latham and a vendor called Well Designed for that. And we also have taken more efforts to make sure that we're intentional in how we communicate our employee value proposition in various job announcements and other communications. We conducted wage studies that we plan to incorporate into the negotiation of 6 contracts in 2023 to make sure we stay competitive with wages. We're changing 457 plan vendors. That change will occur in May. We have a new a significant HRIS system upgrade that we started in 2022. We plan to finish in 2023. And we also implemented a whole support structure to support sustainable, flexible work, including both where people work and when people work. That happened in January. Also, shout out to the benefits staff. They processed approximately a year's worth of COVID leaves in January and February alone when the Omicron variant ravaged us. A look ahead, a lot of this I already touched on, so I'll touch on the things I haven't already discussed. Let's see here. We hired a new sourcing specialist, and she is going to help us to continue with our outreach efforts and make sure that we're that we're staying out in front of that and keeping Kent County out in front of people and the public as an employer of choice. We're implementing a new high-deductible health plan with health savings account and wellness plan in 2024. So the groundwork for that is going to be laid this year. And last but not least, effective in April, every new document that goes into our personnel files in HR will be electronic. So, look, I have 20 seconds to spare. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, does anyone have any questions? Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for, representing the employees here at the county. It sounds like you're doing a great job. And whatever you do, always remember that human resources, the most important part of that is the human part.
Yeah.
So whatever you can do to, continually recognize that human factor in that human resource mix, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Diaz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Amy. I just really appreciate the work that you all do. I've personally bugged HR like 3 times in the last couple of months about the same thing, but thankfully that's all resolved now. I was just hoping I could ask either you or the administrator for a quick favor. I was hoping you could either direct me to a place where I could find or send me a list of the different unions that we work with or that we negotiate with. I would just like to have that information. And again, just moving forward, again, thank you for all the work that you and your team does. As you've mentioned, there's a lot of employers out there who are struggling with finding workers, and while a lot of people would like to have more kids, the economic situation out there is just not allowing for that. And so as we talk about our legislative priorities here in the next couple of weeks and months, I think it's something that we'll be talking about a lot. So thank you again.
Thank you. Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. 2 things. First of all, the employee referral bonus is a genius move. That's so great. Have you had people take you up on it yet? Have you had some successful referrals?
Yeah, we actually had one person that we wanted to be a little bit conservative, at least rolling it out because new program, we didn't know what to expect, and we had one person who just went for it, and they got to the cap of 3 referrals right away. So yeah.
Maybe she raised that cap.
But that's what we're thinking. We're okay, we're probably overly conservative, and we need to increase that.
Yeah, I just think that's a brilliant idea. And then my other question was, in terms of, do we go out to colleges or universities and address, I don't know, they have college fairs when you're in high school.
Yeah.
Do you have do they have employment fairs? Is there a way to
Yeah.
reach those people who are entering the workforce and who, I don't know, I'm sure there are places where people maybe have a little bit more of that passion for service and wanting to, make the world a better place that, leads people to local government and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we have both centralized and also decentralized efforts in that area, and it's pretty common. Just off the top of my head, the Parks Department, the Sheriff Department, the Health Department, the prosecutor, and I'm probably missing other departments. They independently have outreach efforts where they're going into the high schools and the colleges regularly, and also with the support of our new staffing specialist, who's just now she's about 4 weeks in, so she's still onboarding, but she's starting to improve the county's presence, not only in schools, but also with career fairs and on social media. So that's been
Wonderful.
incredibly helpful to have that resource on board.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hennessy.
Thank you. Succession planning is one that you've talked about in the past, and you're continuing. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. Yeah, the approach that we decided to take is less of a top-down approach and more of a bottom-up kind of grassroots approach. We decided to open up the ability for anybody who aspires to that next level of leadership, whether it's their first job as a leader or promotion to a higher level of leadership than the role they're currently in, with the ability to benefit from a few things. First is an expectation of what is needed to be successful in that role of leadership. So what does competency and success look like in that level that you aspire to? The second is information about your readiness to take on that leap to the next role. And the third is support in terms of a mentor that walks alongside you and helps you to identify and complete a development plan that helps you to reach that next step. We want to make sure that people, if they aspire to another leadership role, that they have the support they need to get there, as opposed to not necessarily being the best option or entirely ready for that promotion when the opportunity arises. So that program was beta tested in 5 different county departments in 2022, and in May we plan to roll that out countywide.
Thank you.
Commissioner Boujak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One more question. All departments in the county are important. but having gone through orientation at the King County Sheriff's Department, I think we should put an emphasis on the King County Sheriff's Department and look at what type of incentives can we, include there to attract and retain. Because certainly, when you look at the competitive level of sheriff's departments throughout the state, I would hope that any candidate who is interested in becoming a sheriff in the state of Michigan will look to King County as the place to go. And whatever we can do to make King County, the destination for sheriffs, would be highly appreciated. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All right, I just got a couple of things. Thanks, Amy. I really appreciate your staff and your presentation. So 1,850 full-time employees that have all unique personalities that HR has to deal with on a daily basis. Who's going to write the book when it's all said and done? I like it. Darius in the back. He's,
Probably Stephanie and Darius.
I love it.
Yeah, they probably have the most material, I would think,
Right.
to include.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, dealing with employees can be difficult. Again, everybody has situations that they deal with on a daily basis that we don't always understand. So it's kind of like Commissioner Bujak said, it's that human and human resource, right? Everybody's got different challenges. In addition to the 850 employees, about another 400 additional seasonal employees that HR has to deal with. I'm assuming you're gearing up for that right now. And how many people are you short? You're probably short a lot of people on that 400, or are you doing pretty well?
Well, I would have to follow up with the Parks Department to get a solid read on that. But we're right in the thick of it. This is the key season for recruiting parks seasonal talent. So if you've got a kid and you're or somebody else who loves nature and is looking to get out in the parks, I'm sure they would appreciate the help.
That's great. And as well as Commissioner Bujak said about, or Commissioner LeGrand said about the $750 recruitment. There was a local superintendent years ago. He always said, hey, good people hang out with good people, right? If they're a good worker, they're a good person, they probably have that same entourage, so to speak. And I love to see that as well. I think that's a great tool. I think Kent County's a great place to work, right? Great place to be. The culture is, I think, great. And again, we have a lot of good people. So, and it all starts with HR. So again, we do appreciate your time and efforts on helping out the county and fill our needs and the community needs. So thank you. All right. We have board action on 420. This is coming from the administrator's office. Al.
Action requested. Recommend to the Board of Commissioners to adopt a resolution approving the Kent County social media policy. Summary. Social media is an effective way for Kent County to broaden its reach and engagement with the community. It provides a space for the county to share information and allows residents to engage with the government that serves them. The Kent County social media policy governs the administration of all county social media channels by authorized account managers. Social media sites include, but are not limited to, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and all other sites that are similar in content or character. This policy supersedes all prior county social media policy and procedures and must be read in conjunction with all other applicable county policies. All portions of this policy, except for the portions that apply to individual employee use, do not apply to the Kent County Clerk, Register of Deeds, Kent County Drain Commissioner, Kent County Prosecutor, Kent County Treasurer, Kent County Sheriff, 17th Circuit Court, 63rd District Court, and Probate Court. Corporate Counsel will review and approve the social media policy as to form.
All right, Commissioners, I need a motion and support to move this forward. By LeGrand. Support by Diaz. All right, Commissioners, any comments or questions regarding the policy? I had two hands. All right, it's like Commissioner DeBoer.
As a commissioner, I have a social presence or social media presence, and I inform constituents. I just wanted to make sure that this wouldn't be governing an individual's elected officials' ability to interact with their constituents or his or her constituents.
All right, I'll let, Lori has it. I believe it could be exceptions number 5 on that policy, but we will let Lori walk us through this.
Morning. It would not apply to your personal social media sites. So it's just those sites that are managed by Kent County.
Thank you so much, Lori. Commissioner Bujak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This particular policy, this isn't a brand-new policy, correct? So this is a update to an existing policy, so there have been some minor adjustments.
Yes.
Is it possible that when we get these things, and maybe I got it and didn't see it, that we get like the marked up version so that we can see, oh, this is very, very minor, they're correct, dotting the i's and crossing the t's, and there's really not that much to be too concerned about, as if possibly this was a first time through, and if this is a first iteration of this document, then we might want to really go over it a lot more closely and say, okay. And I'm a lot more comfortable knowing that this policy has been in place and that we're simply making some minor updates that the legal counsel has looked at. And
It replaces 2.
It does. This is like the 3rd iteration of the policy. So I would say, yes, we could give you the markup, but I will say that there was about 20 markups. So just because, as you can imagine, social media has changed so much, and the last time that we updated this policy was in 2017, and our policy, just to give you some context, referred to MySpace. So you can see how, like, yeah, okay. So we could probably go through and do that for the future. I would say this one, I think once we get into the normal cadence of every 2 years, that will be a little easier. This one probably did a more substantial to bring it into what the platforms are today versus in I think the first one was in 2012, and then there was another one in 2017, so it's been a while.
And I believe you mentioned that when we were talking yesterday, that MySpace was there, but Facebook wasn't on the 2017 version?
Well, we didn't have like Instagram and YouTube and some of those, and then we had MySpace. So it was a little bit interesting to us that we're like, is MySpace still a thing? And the answer, yes, it is.
Really?
It is, but it's for creatives. It's not for, engagement.
For Commissioner Bujak, right?
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Commissioner LeGrand.
Thank you, Chair. I just wonder if you could speak a little, or maybe Linda, I'm not sure, but the exceptions for the sheriff, for the prosecutor, for the countywide electeds, how exactly does that work? I mean, is it just because things for the sheriff department still reflect on the county, so how, what concerns are we addressing or not addressing?
The exceptions come out of the inherent tension between 2 elected bodies. Because if this body were to say that you could control the sheriff's Facebook page or the prosecutor's Facebook page, you have one elected telling another elected what they can do. And so Lori will have the control over the use of the logo and things along those lines, and anything coming out of our regular departments, so say the administrator's office or property description and mapping, things like that, so that we have a consistent voice through Lori on all of the county general departments. But because of that tension between elected offices that come with their own constitutional authorities, it's best to let the electeds be in control and responsible for their media pages.
And I will say, though, that the electeds that do have a strong social media site presence, they did review this policy, and I would say they're following this policy, but they've just maybe not adhered to it. So we don't, as Linda said, but we did engage them in the process and allow them an opportunity to review it as well.
That's great to know. And then I had one other question, which is, the policy certainly seems very reasonable. And I know that it's not written with an intent of like policing what everyone is putting out there, because certainly not everyone has the time for that, but is there, I mean, do you review all the sites? Do you take a look at it? Do we hire someone for that job? Is that a big enough job that we need someone to do it? Or how does the actual reviewing of sites happen, or do you just wait for complaints or comments or?
If you're referring to the county sites? or
Yeah,
if-
any of the general county
County
sites.
sites.
Like, I mean, we have the policy, but like, how would something come up that you would be concerned about and maybe want to remove? I mean,
So we actually implemented software probably about 3 years ago, which is called Sprout Social, that all of these social media managers push their social media content into that. And based on their, I would say, the time that they've been at the county, as well as maybe their level in that department, you can set their approval, so they could develop the content, but there has to be somebody else that approves it before it gets posted. So that is generally the way that we do catch it, because all but one department is now pushing all their social content into that software, so that is a great way to monitor it. But we do also have a position that is currently open, that is their position, their responsibility to help monitor and help those departments with that social media content and that development.
great to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hennessy.
Administrative policies for social media. What other administrative policies do we have? It's sort of a semi-new category to me. And I'm also curious if you have a plan for distribution of this once it's approved.
So the other policies, one, as Linda said, what we are in the process of doing is establish some guidelines for the logo use. We do have, that will be adopted. There are some policies under IT. I think as many of you have signed and worked through as you use community devices. So there's all of those policies, plus there's kind of some of the HR ones as well. So I think there's a variety. We could get you the entire list, but we kind of just made it very generic to try to catch all of them instead of listing all of them out.
All right.
If it's policy, the board approves it. So there's policies for HR, county administration, IT that the board approves. And then there's procedures that administration would work out as far as how those are implemented. And so that's more of the reference here. The Board of Commissioners is a policy-making body.
So we have a list of ordinances. Is this all compiled, like we would have the ordinances compiled?
We have policies are all compiled, yes.
So if we ask to see the compiled
Yeah, in
list, it
fact,
would
I
be available to us.
think they're all on the intranet, aren't they?
They are on the, I think most of them are on the county internet. Linda is, I think, maybe can talk a little bit more about.
The policies are all for sure on the intranet. I'm not sure if they're all posted on the internet, but when the term administrative policy is almost like a book chapter. We have a whole chapter on HR policies. We have a whole chapter on fiscal policies. We have a whole chapter on facility policies. It's just a way of organization.
Okay.
And if you'd like to see the list, I've got it pulled up right here, but we've got everything from business expenses to all kinds of stuff. It's all of the county policies that go through the board. But the term administrative is really almost like a book chapter.
All right.
Commissioner, to answer your second question, and part of the procedures, once the board adopts this in April, it will be sent to all departments and staff as part of the procedures. So everybody will have access to it, and then it will be on our internal intranet as well.
Access to the intranet. That's something new for us.
Commissioners, any other questions? All right, Administrator Vandenberg had a.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that many of our policies, especially one like this, is reviewed also by the board's executive committee prior to going through this process. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. If there's no other questions, we have a motion on the floor, and we do have support. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All opposed? The resolution will go to the board, I believe, on 4 20, I believe. So, all right. Commissioners, any other comments or questions or miscellaneous today? All right, seeing none, meeting is adjourned.